think that we need to first acknowledge, we know that Shannon's here. She's here with us. I don't want to make everybody cry.
I'm not looking at you.
I just don't even, I have a thing for that. I accidentally make people cry sometimes. But I think it's just great that she thought of you in the future and decided to keep you watching every single episode of Charmed again.
Yes, she did.
Is this thing on now? There we go.
Yes, she certainly did. Here, this one's for you.
And they're just directional, so you really gotta like, there you go.
And the thing. She did, yeah, we're doing the podcast, and we're still doing it. We're trying to get, how do I put this? We have some things to work out.
Right. There's legal issues.
There is. We don't own ourselves yet.
Oh.
So that's why it's only on Patreon right now, because we're trying to get out of our, see, I can't say that either.
Right?
I think, no, well, they might not get as upset if you say it.
Oh.
How about I say it?
Okay, go ahead.
So I don't know, I watch it on YouTube. Is that okay to say?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
House of Hallowell, and strangely enough, their son hosts it with them. It's just weird.
Yeah.
Drew is the host.
Yeah.
And he hasn't watched the episodes either, so he's
No.
going through and watching them for the first time, even though he joined so late in the series, and he's like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
Wait a minute.
That was what my issue was with him, is that he took the job without having seen the show.
A lot of people do that, especially like superhero stuff. They're like, I never read comics, I never did anything.
Do your research. So he's doing it now, a couple decades later.
So in the last episode, I guess we could talk about it a little bit.
Yes.
That's okay. I know dreams were brought up, and you were like, I hate this, hate everything about it. And BK was like, hey, dreams mean a lot. And I just want you to know that I've had this forever,
my
as you can tell.
gosh.
This has been it's basically my book of shadows. That's what I always call it. We keep it in the bathroom. My husband's here somewhere. And I could like flip to anything and be like, oh, that's what I dream. Like,
Wow.
just like, so I mean, if there's something you need to
I
like,
like that.
I don't think you can get it anywhere else. It's like literally just so.
Yes, I love that.
Just so you know.
Very cool.
If you had any weird dreams last night, you need for me to define for you.
Okay, I definitely did. But yeah, so we're trying to get out of our deal with, damn it, I can't say it that way.
There's some contractual issues,
Yes.
and so anywho.
So we're trying to be independent again, as we were before. Shannen had her podcast on iHeart, and so it kind of made sense when she wanted to join, for us to join them, and now we're kind of trying to go back to our origin story.
Everybody got that, right? We get it. Just wait. It's fine.
Yeah.
So a lot of Charmed fans probably know this, but maybe not, because maybe you're not the big nerd that I am. But you were both originally supposed to be other characters, and that would have just
Yes.
been totally weird.
Totally weird. I thought so. Yeah, they asked me originally to audition for Phoebe, and Shannen for Piper, because Aaron Spelling didn't think we were old enough to be the older sisters. So we had to like literally show him our ID. We got carded.
You're still getting carded.
I carded last night.
I did. I think they were just being nice though.
Didn't card me.
No, just me.
And so I
It was
noticed
dark.
that you can tell in the credits, like in the first few episodes, Brian, you're not listed as a main character, you're guest starring.
Right.
So did you know going in you might have a bigger part, or you were just going to be like the dude in the attic?
Dude in the attic, sure. So they have something in television, you're a recurring character, or a semi-recurring, or just a weekly guest star, star of the week. And so this was so many episodes, and possible recurring was how they used their language. So I did 7 episodes, and then they offered me another contract with like 12 episodes, and then,
Very non-committal.
they weren't sure.
And then, we got to bring up Dan. We don't hear a lot about Dan these days. In fact, Matt, that's running WarCon, he said, who even is Dan? I'm like, seriously?
Oh my god.
I mean, come on, he was brought up even after he was not on the show anymore, and does that like trigger you if I say Dan? Look at him. He's like, I'm not talking to you anymore.
A little
He's
bit.
sober. The interview's done.
I mean, you know, talk about your exes too.
Well, there was a lot of behind the scenes stuff like that, wasn't there? You're not uncontractually available to talk about that stuff?
No.
Greg Vaughn is an amazing human being. We golfed, we were friends, and you know, I actually thought there was a chance of both of us being, like, just both of us being a part of the show. You know, the fact that they kind of pitted us against one another was, you know, it's too bad. But Greg has gone
I mean,
on
he
to
forgot
do pretty well.
everything. Yeah. He was supposed to come back, you know. You've heard this story, right?
It's like, I know.
He was supposed
Bitter.
to come back in season 8. But
Did Brian fight him in real life? And they're like,
No. It was the network he was working for at the time. He wanted to come back. The network told him no. Said, no, you work for us, not for them.
Whatevs.
Mm-hmm. Not anymore.
Oh, really? Oh.
No.
So much behind the
They
scenes.
parted ways.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, amicably, I think.
It was a good break. Clean break, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
You guys had so many amazing guest stars. Like every single episode, every week, there was someone new popping in. You know, they had to get used to the set, and then everybody. We talked with Danielle Harris about it yesterday when she came in. You know, and did her one episode as the fourth sister. Who were some of your favorite guest stars that came in?
We called BK the fourth sister. But it was actually Danielle. That was her episode. Yeah. It's so funny because, you know, you mentioned Drew, and he's like, John Hamm was on the show?
Yeah.
I'm like, yes. So that's, you know, pretty impressive. Amy Adams, pretty impressive. Billy Zane, all the Billies I like. Billy Zane, Billy Ward. We didn't get rid of, no.
Billy, season 8.
And then the music. I mean, you got to have so many different musical guests. When you started P3, and you're like, oh my gosh, Oasis, and you know. So, did you really get to spend time with the bands on the set, or was that kind of filmed differently?
It was, you know, they did a strange like scheduling with the bands. They usually brought them in early in the morning, so that we were usually working late at night. So they kind of tried to give us a cushion, which bands don't want to play early in the morning.
No, I was like, that's the worst time.
Yeah, especially not the Cranberries. They really didn't want to play that early in the morning. But yeah, they were great, and so sometimes we got to see them, but sometimes we missed them completely. Like I missed Michelle Branch. I was so mad because she was such a great fan of the show. She like would tour. She would go on tour, and one of the things that she needed to go on tour with was our DVDs.
Wow.
And I missed her, but we're Instagram friends, so I guess that counts.
He's like, I'm not. What? Did you get to see any of the bands? Or?
One or two. I wasn't there very
You weren't
often
there a
when
lot,
they
were you?
No.
I just feel like
No.
he was just a hologram, really.
I was with my other family.
He was with the elders.
Yeah, it was.
Were there any musical guests you would have liked to have had that you're like, man, thinking
That we
back to like the
didn't have?
90s, 2000s
I mean,
music?
we got Pat Benatar.
Yes.
You know, I mean, I can't complain. Yeah, Dishwalla. We had Dave Navarro. I mean, we had Paula Cole. I mean, can't really complain. I mean, we didn't have Metallica, but it's all right. Next time.
So in your personal life, I know that a lot of times you say, oh, I'm nothing like Piper, I'm nothing like my character. However, I just recently realized that your husband is a restaurateur,
Right.
and you kind of grew up around a diner and restaurant, so maybe a little bit of Piper there?
Yeah, so we live in a small town, and we have a couple restaurants there, and sometimes people don't show up to work. So he can
That never
cook.
happens.
He can cook, so he can get in the kitchen. I can cook. I can't cook as well as him, according to him. Whatever.
He's a chef.
Chef.
Wait, is he a restaurateur or a chef?
He's
Is there a
both.
difference? Okay.
So they're really annoying. He's got the chef attitude with the boss attitude. It's just not a good combo. And so, you know, my grandmother were both waitresses for a very long time. My stepfather was a bartender. So I kind of grew up around restaurants. And so every once in a while, when someone doesn't show up in the front, is that for you?
I want silence.
Yeah, where's the burner?
Oh man, see, here we go. His other family. I knew it.
I freak people out because I'll come walking through the restaurant with a couple of plates, and I'll be like, "Is everything okay? Do you need anything else?" And they're like, "Did we go to high school together?" And I'm like, "Maybe."
I'm like, it's not okay. Everything is not okay. What is happening right now? I'm in an episode of the Twilight Zone Beach Charm. What's happening?
I haven't dropped anything yet, so that's all I'm happy about.
But you couldn't freeze it anyway, so
I have dropped off food at the wrong table. I have done that.
I would just take it.
Yeah.
I mean, unless there were onions and it'd be like a whole thing, so I couldn't do that. So.
Yeah, he doesn't like it when I'm in the front because I give stuff away for free. If they say they don't like it, I tell them to make it again.
Well,
Yeah.
you got to keep the guys in order, which is basically was your job the whole time during Charm. This guy.
Yeah, it was not an easy relationship. So when people say, "Oh my gosh, you guys are relationship goals," I go, "I'm so sorry."
I know. If you go back and really watch it, I mean, really watch it. If you ever do the Leo drinking game, I don't know if it's real or not. I just made that up. But how many times do you yell Leo in an episode or a season or the entire series?
And how many times did I cry?
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of ups and downs, folks. Thank you. Thank you.
Don't blame me.
It's never his fault. He's an angel.
Well,
The worst white lighter ever.
and I know in the podcast that we know something and something else not about, you guys talked about the first love interest that Piper had, and he was, well, ghost, dead. So it's kind of like a running thing for you.
Unavailable.
Yeah.
Emotionally and physically unavailable. Geographically, definitely has commitment issues.
So, I mean, I'll just get into a little bit of just a small amount of fun drama, because, I mean, who doesn't love that? You ended up marrying someone behind the scenes.
Uh-huh.
He's gone now.
He is.
And BK, you had a little bit of a relationship with someone else on the show that you weren't romantically involved with on the show, but what was that like?
What was that like?
How was she? How's she doing now?
Do you guys still talk?
No.
Are you Insta friends?
I think so.
I can fix that.
Block that name. We're not even going to say it, but I'm just saying. You had, is she texting you now?
Probably.
Who is she?
It's a spam call.
Let's answer.
I keep blocking it. Number 2, and somehow it goes through.
Okay, so you're changing the subject.
What was the question?
What was the question? What was your relationship like with the other sister in real life?
Well, it was a difficult time in my life. Like, I had gotten divorced, my son moved away. and
Was
then-
it hot?
And then, then here comes,
Was it hot and steamy?
yeah.
Who was the boss? Who was the boss, though?
Who actually is the boss?
Well, it wasn't me. So, I thought we were in love and the whole thing, and then, it did get a little awkward when we came back to set. And,
For who?
uh,
What do you mean? That wasn't awkward at all.
I'm sure it wasn't awkward for you, Holly, because I mean, your love, it's a whole thing. It's a triangle,
well, I'll just say, I wasn't the pursuer, right?
Oh,
But-
again, it's
Listen.
never the man's fault.
No,
I kind of feel like she probably had like her share of whoever she could have had, and
she's had.
you, I mean,
I mean, look, I was in love at the time. It got awkward, and then, of course, when it ended.
how did it end?
Yeah.
She just said she needed a break, and that was it. I go,
So
well,
you're still on a break?
Still
I
on a
said,
break.
but I'll see you at work in like 2 minutes. Like, what do you? And that was it. Never talked to me again.
Uh-huh.
Got her stuff out there. It was awkward. And then
For who?
for Piper.
Okay.
And yeah, the rest of that season, it was difficult on the
What
set.
season was that?
Season 4.
Mm-hmm.
And at
So
the
that
end
was
of-
just a weird season
so at the
anyway.
end of
Lot of
season
changes.
4,
Lot of changes, folks.
I had made a decision that I didn't want to be there, and that it was too difficult, it was awkward, it was everything. And I was drinking a bottle of wine at home one night, and I called up Brad Kern, and he didn't answer, and I was going to tell him to write me out of the show. I can't do this. And called him again, he didn't answer, and I was like, fuck.
You gave
know,
up.
I just said, I've never quit anything in my life, and I just decided that, I was drunk, so that night I shaved my head, and just said, I'm gonna get through this, drank the bottle of wine, got up the next day, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, we're going back to work in a few weeks, and I got a shaved head, this is trouble. So I started taking like hair growing pills, doing everything I could. And then when I came back, that first day, they were like, who are you? You're not allowed to cut your hair. I was like, actually,
That's a rule.
It's not in my contract. I said, let's go. And, it all kind of changed from there, and we did, 4 more years, and it kind of worked, but it took a minute for me to kind of just...
And who told you? I told you so.
I'm guessing this one right here.
Let me put...
Whose shoulder did you cry on?
Okay, but for real though, why didn't you guys in real life?
That would have been weird.
But no, aren't you the reason he got divorced anyway in real life?
No. No, it was a...
Contributed to?
It was...
Because your wife's crazy.
It was
Well,
it was a
she
small...
thought something was happening.
See, ridiculous. She picked the wrong sister.
This is fine.
It wasn't me.
I'm sweating here. Yeah, this is a great time.
Well, you've got 50 layers of clothing on,
What
so.
was awkward is that, I knew his wife before I knew him. So when we worked together, I was like, oh, that's Beth's husband. All right, cool. Apparently the on-screen kisses were a little too heated.
Gotta sell that.
I just work
Gotta sell
here. I just work here.
Had she never seen a TV show or movie before?
She didn't like it.
It wasn't the first time
It wasn't just me.
she had seen something I did that made her kind of jealous,
Oh,
right?
that's right. There was Pam Anderson.
That's right.
She should have been way more upset about her.
She was upset.
Way more upset about
She
that.
just laid the groundwork for the whole thing.
And it's awkward. It is acting, and it's awkward, and it's it's camera angles too, and you have to put your face on the right side, and there's light. You're aware of where the light is, and you're aware of it. His nose is in my eye. It's very technical.
So, in backing up to season 3, season 4 was awkward. Season 3, there's an episode where the sisters are put under the spell where they're mad at each other. Was that getting some real life aggression out?
Oh, I'm sure it was. There's episodes when we do the podcast now where I can tell I'm mad at both of them. Because I kind of I remember it from doing it, but there was a time where I just look at so-and-so's forehead because I really didn't want to look at her because I was so mad. I'd just be like this, looking over.
I love everything about this.
But, it's very true. We were very much like sisters, disagreed like sisters, and we got along like sisters. And so, we don't like to burst anybody's bubble, but our relationships are more real than they are TV. And I think to say, oh, we all got along famously and had sleepovers, which we did, by the way. I think calm down.
We know you had sleepovers.
You know what? This is a family show. We're not talking about your sleepover.
Okay.
We covered that.
Yeah, we did. Thanks.
But yeah, it's and still, I argue with them all the time.
And so,
Very
I mean,
real.
the season 3 coming to an end, did the whole cast know that Shannen was going to leave
No.
before
No,
then, or it
nobody
just
knew.
happened
Nobody
at her
knew.
episode that she directed?
Yes. Nobody knew. She didn't know. Though there were people that knew
Well,
behind the scenes, but it wasn't any of us. And it wasn't until after that season was over that she found out. So
sucks.
that's when people become producers, so that they don't have surprises like that anymore.
Because that title got added to your, I need to know, because Because I just wondered, if you knew that that was coming up, would you have made a decision to also leave the show?
I did. I asked to be let go.
And they wouldn't let you go?
No, they threatened to sue me, which is why I keep trying to say things properly, and I still don't. But yeah, no, they threatened to sue me for loss of revenue. And they said they would dock my wages wherever I worked. And I said, well, what if I go to Arizona and I'm like, bagging groceries? Because I was that mad. And they said, we will dock your wages. I was like, wow, that's low. That's minimum wage.
Yeah.
That's low. So, yeah.
Because you and Shannon were friends beforehand, and this is the whole, she wanted you to be on the cast,
Yes.
you guys kind of fought for that, and then here comes this other, sister, and it's like, I'm gonna have my way. I think that just,
It was
knowing that after we watched it, you go back and rewatch it, and you're like, what?
Well, when we had this conversation, it had just happened, and no other sister had been talked about. It was funny because Spelling had a list of sisters, people for the sister he wanted. The network had what they wanted. Those two didn't coincide, which was nothing new. But I just said, this is not the show that I signed on to do. And I was very much so there because of Shannon and Aaron Spelling. And I feel like Aaron Spelling was not in his capacity that normally was when this decision was made too, because I don't think it would have been made. But the powers that be that were there at the time, I even said to one of them, why would you hire her again if only to fire her? And he said, we didn't want to, but we have to. There was a lot of things about that meeting that didn't make sense.
Yeah, none of it does.
Yeah.
You should have put them under a spell.
Well, we did for
For a little while.
for 5 more years.
So then when, season 4 starts and you're like, hey, guess what? Here's a script and there's a new person, someone's gone. What's the reaction on the set?
Well, I know for Rose, it was like, she says, jumping on a moving train. You just kind of have to go with it. Because she's so independent and individual, I think it was easier for her to do than it would have been for most people. But our characters were sort of organically, the writers were smart enough to let us figure it out, sort of like people would when you find out you have a long-lost sister, which happens much more often these days. It's not so outlandish now, because you get Ancestry and all the things, and you're like, wait, my dad has 6 other kids in Missouri? So it's not as far-fetched as it seemed at the time. But yeah, it was obviously meant to be. And because of who she is as a person, it just worked. There wasn't the dynamic that we had before because she was just there to do a job, and she was very, very independent, and she still is.
Yes. So I guess it kind of worked it out personality-wise behind the scenes, even though there was the still like,
Yeah.
I hate your face, right?
We're still all very close now, so.
Well,
Yeah.
except I hate your face.
Yeah.
So how has that changed for you, Brian, when you come in and you're like, where did Shannon go?
Yeah, it was a bummer. First few seasons it was Shannon's show, and she ran the show, and she was, what you looked up to when you went to work, and she set the bar for, our work ethic. And so when they made the change, it was, it was surprising. No, it was a shake. All right. It was difficult. But then learning what kind of happened and how that happened and why that happened later on, I think it really changed a lot of our opinions about certain people that were involved in the show. And it's made it difficult going forward to have that relationship still. But, welcoming Rose, she's just different and bubbly, and she really came in, and I think a lot of us thought we would do 1 season and be over, and then it just kept going. It just changed the dynamic. 5 more years, you guys kept us there, so it was, a blessing.
Crying? No. Tissues? Do you need them? No. She's good. We're good. Everything is fine.
Shh, don't say that.
what's I gonna say? Gosh. Look at that. I've never seen this. I just stopped talking.
That's it.
She,
She likes when we talk about her.
I know, that's what I'm saying. She's here with us, and so that's, well, that's the thing I was gonna say. Thank you. Have you guys kind of changed your thoughts on life or your scheduling or just thoughts in general since then?
Well, yeah, because it's, Brian knows, it was real hard for me to sit down and do the podcast again. Because like you said, it's a particularly strange way of grieving. But she would want us to do that. And she would want us to go back. She would be the first person to say, go back to work.
Yeah.
Now.
And
Like,
she would
get
say,
going.
if you're not talking about me at these panels, something is gonna happen.
Yes, undoubtedly. Yeah. Get back to work.
See?
And it's,
BK.
it's true though, and I'm really thankful that she got to do, the last couple of years, she got to do a lot of these cons with us, and it sort of reaffirmed her love for the show. And it gave her basically permission to love the show as much as she did in the beginning because it was her baby. And then what happened, and she sort of had to put it away in a box because it was so painful. And so coming to these in the last couple of years really opened that box up again in every way. And yeah, made myself cry. There you go.
And I mean, coming out and doing the cons, I went back and saw, you guys have been doing this like over 13 years together.
15, but
There
who's
you
counting?
go. So YouTube took me back 13 years, the one I looked up, but, and you're still getting along, and you're still getting out here for the
Yeah.
fans.
For the people.
For the people. What's the behind the scenes here? I don't know.
Somebody last night asked us in the bar, are you two together? And I was like, God, no.
I mean, in another lifetime, maybe, but whatever.
It's true, we freak people out all the time.
So, whenever Drew joined, you've got a son now, and he's like grown, but you know him, but you don't know him. How did you read that script and you're like, what now?
He had to do most of that. You guys had a rocky, weird beginning, but that was supposed to happen.
Yeah,
The
they
absent dad.
never explained the whole thing.
He's convinced himself that he was supposed to be somebody's love interest. I was like, that's just what you're telling yourself.
don't know.
Calm down. That would have been weird.
Yeah, it was strange. He was very young at the time, and snot-nosed, cocky kid coming in here thinking he could do it all. It's like, I've been working for quite some time at that point, and then also, the standard of the show, and I think, I wasn't so friendly to him. It's like, look, we're here to do a job. Becoming friends with everybody on the set is secondary, but
Right.
that's not the
Oh,
most
by then it
important
was.
thing.
Yeah, by then.
Right.
Oh, hey, whoa, oh, wow.
Saying,
Different standards.
Wow.
Different standards.
It was overtime.
Right, it was overtime. You can only do that when you're a series regular, apparently.
I guess so. Can't believe I didn't die.
Well, you're welcome.
You were already dead, so you couldn't die again, I guess.
I don't know.
Maybe they couldn't take it.
But it took a while for us to kind of be cool with one another, and the more that we worked and whatever, and he's a good actor, and since then we've become dear friends. So
Yeah. It's funny,
He
a lot of
forgives
us
me.
are closer now than we were then. Just
I mean, just
bizarre.
listening to the podcast or watching it or however, it seems like you guys worked together a lot longer than you did.
26 years.
I mean, like in those seasons, though. We don't want to talk about how long ago it was. We just watched it yesterday, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
This morning.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it's been a weird, wild ride. Yeah. What about Cole?
Okay, that was my next question. Who is this? I will fight you right now. I'm like, let's bring up Cole.
So we just got to his episode in the podcast where we find out that Cole is Balthazar, and I just looked at it. Well, first of all, Julian really sold that scene in the cemetery where he's like, "I love you though," and she's like, "But you're evil," and she buys it. You know, we've all been there. We've all felt for that.
I mean, if he was telling me that, yes, absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, he was just such a great addition to the show, and he really loved what he was doing, as you can tell, probably. And you know, he was such a showboat that he just irritated the fuck out of me. Because he'd come in, and by this time, you know, I'm in producer mode, so I'm really conscious about, you know, getting our crew home at a decent hour, not spending hours and hours in overtime, because people do weird things when they spend too much time there. And, you know, so we're just on two different wavelengths. He comes in and he's having so much fun. He's got to say hello to everybody on the set before he actually settles down to actually work. So we used to actually bring him in early. Like, bring him in 15 minutes early so he could talk to everybody.
Get your greetings done.
Yeah. And then he just, you know, you've probably seen the outtakes. Like, he'll just break out into song and dance for no good goddamn reason. And I'm like, damn it. And literally, we had a great working relationship, but man, he's uncontrollable. I'm sure he's mature in his age, but no, he doesn't look like he's having fun. Well, he probably got in trouble a lot. But yeah, so then when he came back for that one episode, it was like the 150th or something like that, he said yes, but on one condition. That one condition was that the scenes would be with me. Motherfucker.
I was like, oh, I'm so excited for you.
It was a long day.
So I know you say you don't remember a lot about me so long ago, but locations and smells and different things like that. What does he smell like?
He always smells good. He does, and I can tell you from I can tell you he's quite coiffed. I can tell you from an insider's point of view, who may or may not have dated him, he is supposedly one of the most romantic men she ever knew.
That's all just.
And I was like, of course he is. Whatever.
Why isn't he here with us?
Yeah. Well.
Oh, is he? He's still working at the
Wow.
whatever.
I'm right here.
I'm sorry, I thought you warmed out. I just
I'm
for a
still
second.
here.
Nobody wants to know what I smell like, huh?
You're sitting so far away, and you're in a million layers.
You're a
and-
handyman. We know what you smell like.
I don't know what time it is. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Does anyone know what time it is?
1:12.
All right.
How long did we have?
I don't know. You're the fellows.
What time did we start? Well,
18 minutes.
all right, we have audience questions, I believe. Or I can just keep talking because I can.
I was gonna say, do we want to do audience questions?
I know. See, it makes me want to bark a little.
If
So,
everybody could like
listen here.
line up if you want a question,
Yeah.
so I don't have to walk that much because I walked a whole lot yesterday.
Hey, that was my line in the last bit.
No, thank you.
We did not rehearse that.
Are. I'm sorry, I'm trying not to be like super in the way. All right, we'll let you go ahead and start.
Well, first of all, I know I've
weird,
talked to you
yeah.
guys already.
It's very directional. You have to like be right on it.
Like in it. Oh, right, like this?
Can I just say that you kind of have a Rose look about you? She
Okay.
didn't hear me.
Here's my question. I got
Sorry.
it. What made you? What made you both get into acting?
My mother.
Your mother?
Well, no, my mother wanted to be an actress, and she moved us to New York to follow her dreams, that whole big story. And she just didn't take the rejection very well. It can be really critical and very specific.
Yeah.
You know, and they can tell, well, you're not right because you're too short, or too whatever, or too old, or too this, or too that. So she was not having the best time with it. And apparently, when I was around 8 or 9 years old, I apparently was giving her, and she says this, so allegedly, I said, well, maybe you should do this, maybe you should have dressed like this. And she said, well, maybe, if you think it's so easy, why don't you do it? My mother's only 15 years older than me.
Well, you're amazing anyway, so you both are.
What is your origin story?
Hi, Dorothy.
Yeah.
I wanted to do so many things, but acting's easier than schooling. So, I always
That's why
grew
I
up
did
just
it
liking
too.
to play. It's what I did. And my father always reminded me how irresponsible I was, but just always wanted to play. So, I wanted to be a professional soccer player, and I'm not that good, so I was like, oh, maybe I'll try acting. And it kind of took off, so
Thank you guys so much for being here. I'm over the moon.
Thank you.
thank you. Yeah, instead of books, I like to
You're
read
gonna make me
scripts.
cry again.
Okay.
You're gonna make me cry again.
Do you want to tell me?
It's all right.
Okay.
Happens every day. It's all right. I'm gonna throw something at you. That's okay.
So for anyone who didn't hear, she wants to know what it was like playing Piper and how did you feel about playing that character?
When I was kissing the guy that was kissing my sister. Barf. Yep,
You
see?
just can't let it go. I'm
Life
sorry.
choices.
Still can't let it go.
Life choices.
What's that? That's 24 years.
Let me count.
Fresh.
It's fresh. It was. I'm glad I was 24 at the time because she really did everything. I mean, she was mixing drinks and breaking hearts and killing demons and all the things. Like, there was nothing she didn't get to do. And so I used to have this argument with the writers all the time that we didn't need a demon every episode. Clearly, I lost that argument. But I was like, yeah, I mean, my argument was always, and it aired in Spellings as well, was it's a show about sisters who happen to be witches, not witches who are sisters. And so the family element, because I have a weird one and a small one, was very important to me and very important to Piper. And I said, we can just do stuff where we just do normal family stuff and normal family scenes and normal, my boyfriend is kissing my sister stuff. And I got to do that on Pretty Little Liars. So I got to do all the family stuff. And I was sitting at the table one day and I went, so I don't get to blow anything up? I don't get to fight anyone? I realized, careful what you wish for, because I was bored. And I loved doing it. But then I realized I was like, this is I don't get to be A? No? Can I kill A? No? It was tough. It was tough to just do the family show. Yes. One of his favorites too, by the way. Do you remember who Kira was? See? Oh, now he remembers something.
Wow, did you have overtime for that one too?
No.
You didn't do overtime with that one?
No.
Yet.
See her in Nashville, maybe.
He knows her schedule. You dog.
This went from a tear fest to what?
You're good. Thank you. That's okay, have a seat, you're good.
Hi again.
Hi.
Hey, how are y'all?
Good, how are
Like,
you?
Y'all like what, twice, 4 times?
Something like that.
Hi. Okay, so Wyatt, baby Wyatt. How was it with the baby?
He was good with the babies. I had not had a baby yet, so I made him do the babies. He was really good with the babies.
You're good.
So Wyatt was actually twins. Yeah, they're super cute. And so once we did scare the babies with a demon. He was in the attic. We scared the babies.
Yeah, they want to come back on
And
the
they
set.
did not want to come back into the stage. CBS is going to be so mad at me for telling this story. Yeah. And so Brian had to work with the babies to get them comfortable to come back in the building. Yeah.
just
Yeah.
a little therapy.
Yeah,
for
now
them
do you
later.
care how I smell? Huh? Cole didn't do that.
Exactly. He definitely did do that.
So were there any other relationships? Like with you? Or?
Wow.
Oh.
So just going there.
Calm down.
We'll just call it OT. Was there any other OT that we can spill for us?
Oh God, yeah.
He was hot. Very respectful. And I was very pregnant then, so it was very awkward.
Oh yeah.
It was so awkward. He's like, where do I put? I was like, just do it. Where do I put my hands? I was like, there's plenty of space, okay? Pick a place. Yeah, she had some good love interests.
Were you sad that you didn't have, Brian, were you sad you didn't have more love interests? You know, you couldn't really get out there with, I mean,
No,
you know.
you know.
You took care of that behind the scenes, just
Oh,
not.
wow.
Just once, made that mistake once.
Once.
Once. I think there would be other sisters here that you need to ask that
What?
aren't present that,
Oh, thanks.
you know, might have had more relationships than just one.
Present company
Yeah.
excluded.
That's
Yeah.
All right.
right.
Thank you.
That's for the documentary.
Okay,
Can you
first of
imagine?
all, thank you so much for being here. You guys have like made a dream come true for me. So, sweet, you guys. I told myself I wasn't gonna cry. Piper, dream sister, Leo, dream husband.
Oh, thank you.
But also, so you guys have been like a comfort for me and my daughters. They grew up, you know, we watched you guys, and I've had the question, what is something that is like a kind of a comfort for you guys? Comfort show, like traveling. I know Brian, you just traveled recently. I saw on Instagram. So I was just wondering, like, what's kind of something comforting for you guys that you go to?
This is terribly revealing for me. I don't want people to look at me differently. But I watch SVU every night. And it really worries my husband. He's like, okay, have fun with your show. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. It's Mariska. I don't know. It's not the gruesome storylines. You know, if she was reading a book, I'd probably watch it, you know? It's probably, I think it's her. I don't want to, you know, I do like the puzzle piecing. That's what, like, the networks call it, where you have to, like, figure it out. So I do like that part of making my brain do something. I guess my brain needs something to do before I go to bed, clearly. But, yeah, that's my thing, and it's super creepy.
I don't know.
He
I'm
watches a lot of Dateline.
Dateline, Forensic Files,
Yeah.
Ancient Aliens. Like
Yeah.
these are my
Have you seen the show Mindhunter on Netflix?
Mindhunter. Yeah.
He gets more into, okay, so he's more creepy than I am.
Wow.
Okay, because
Joe Kinda. Anybody seen Joe Kinda?
You were watching that, what was this called?
Amazing.
The Perfect Murder?
Homicide Hunter. Joe Kinda.
Great.
No, how to commit a perfect murder. Like, you were getting dark,
Well, it's yeah.
the puzzle piecing.
I know.
Sure.
It's, I've
Everybody's
moved,
into
I've moved
true
on to
crime. It's not
aliens.
just you. Yeah.
I don't wake up angry.
I have a few questions, if I may ask.
Sure.
Cool. My bad. Did you guys have a favorite episode?
See, it's creepy, but I like the Excalibur one because I got the sword. And I may have told some of you it's still in my bedroom. It's in my yoga mat because that's what yoga mats are for. It is. It's not a lie. I'll send you a picture.
I like the one where you made out with the fireman.
Oh, that one
What was that one
stung.
called?
It was hot. Come on. You saw him. Tall, dark, handsome. That one.
So many of them.
Sparkly eyes. And there was Eduardo, too.
All my favorites.
Mr. Perfect. Hey. Like, they gave me all the hottest ones when I was largely pregnant. Like, what? Why would you do that to a woman? They secretly hated me.
What was the most emotional episode or season?
Oh, I think we know the answer to that one. That one on the podcast, I might have to sit out. I'll find somebody else for you to talk to. That one.
I'll set
It's
that for
actually,
you.
it's not the third one because it's the fourth one.
Right.
It's the first of the fourth season. That's
Because
gonna
I went
be
back and watched the
tougher.
last two of the third season just
Yeah.
this weekend, like to see how things would
Right.
change. Do you know already? Is there, is there
Right.
anything you could tell behind the scenes? And then four, it's just kind of like,
No, they let her direct her own death.
and it was just pathetic too.
Yeah, it was.
I mean,
It was like going through this thing.
I would probably die doing that, but she shouldn't have.
Exactly. Do you have a favorite episode? Saving Private Leo by
Nah.
on Leo.
You always say
Leo?
that, but I feel like there's something else.
Anything that says Leo in the title.
Oh my gosh. But did you like playing like good regular Leo or the evil?
I mean, the whole evil part, like, the avatar and that whole thing wasn't my favorite. I like being, nice Leo.
And how many times did you have to stand in front of like a green screen to look like you were at the bridge?
A lot.
The San Francisco Bridge. Like there was always like, what?
And they actually built part of it was practical. And so it was this weird roll-out set that we would stand on. It had its own stage, and then the green screen behind it. It was kind of bizarre. Just up there having a smoke.
Don't smoke, stay in school, kids.
What was your favorite creature to see or to turn into?
Favorite creature? I liked the Fury. I identified with the Fury, but now in hindsight, not so much. The Valkyrie was fun for me.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
Yeah, you got to get put in a cage.
Yeah.
In your
Little
skirt.
sword fighting. It's great.
Oh yeah, when you had sword fight, I remember that.
Yeah. You got physical. See, you had a sword too.
Trying to kill Daryl.
My sword was bigger.
Yeah. Not the size.
What's your favorite thing
That it still lives. And it lives on, because I think people thought I was probably a little bit crazy at the time, but I was terribly invested in it, and I wanted it to be as good as it possibly could, and so did Shannon, and it's pretty amazing. I saw somebody brought a picture that Shannon had signed, and I'm gonna make myself cry again. It says Prue lives, and that's how she was signing the last couple of years. So that's a pretty big deal. Thank you.
I'm nervous and I forgot my question. Give me 1 second. Oh, yeah. Do you have like certain parts of your personality that you tried to like incorporate into your characters, or like vice versa? Did you like kind of take any character traits from your characters?
Well, as I said, I didn't have any babies when Piper had a baby, and I think the importance of family, I don't know if that grew in me organically or if it might have come from her a little bit, especially Shannon also was the same. Yeah, and supposedly I'm opening a bar this year, so I think it's all her fault.
That's exciting. Is it P3? Or you probably can't use that.
There'll be a P3 sign in it.
Awesome.
You
Yes.
can't give CBS any more reasons to sue me than they already have.
Dance on the bar, like you did in that one.
We're gonna try not to do that. We're gonna try real hard.
We just have time for our last few here that are standing there because they have to get back and meet you guys. So if you haven't already been upstairs,
We're gonna have Brian
autographs.
dance on the bar this time.
It's been a pleasure to meet y'all. I just have a couple quick questions. First one is, after the show ended, was there any plans, or maybe now plans, to extend the story to involve Leo and Piper's children?
You know, everybody says that, and I can't tell you why CBS did what they did with the reboots, giving them more reasons to sue me. But that's what everybody says, and that's what everybody asked for. And I don't think they say that just because they're telling us that, but maybe. But it would make sense, and the person who was most for it was Shannen. And like I said, the last couple of years really brought her full circle back to how she truly felt about the show. And she was ready to do it again.
And on a side note, I'm just wondering, after Dan mysteriously disappeared, where did Leo hide the body?
Yeah, where did he hide the body? He's been watching a lot of Dateline.
I mean, the best way to get rid of him was drop him off the Golden Gate.
That explains it.
There's a lot of sharks in that bay.
That is horrific.
Thank you all
Really
for the
making
years.
me worry about you now.
Thank you for the years, and thank you for allowing us to be here.
Thank you. Wow, that was pretty quick, actually. A little too quick.
Okay, so mine is kind of fitting with the theme of the con. What was it like working with Robert Englund? Because awesome.
He's so great. You know, the thing is, the scariest ones are usually the nicest guys. Like Kane Hodder, it's just the sweetest, most gentle giant. I hate it when he sneaks up on me. Super quiet. You do not hear him coming. And still, he'll walk out, but shows behind me. And Robert is just like this proper gentleman. He loves to travel. He's always so refined. And he's just so great. He doesn't eat at the table. Okay. If you get me sick, I'll beat you with this microphone.
It's the Indiana weather. We all have it. That's what it is.
Yeah.
We don't have the beautiful California weather.
We treat cold.
Right now.
Hi guys. Did you get to keep anything from the set, like props or clothes or anything? Did you guys get to keep any of it from the set?
I definitely have the sword. I have the dragon cane as well. Like anything that resembled a weapon, I kept. Because they wouldn't let us do a crossover with Supernatural, so I had to take what I could get. Yes, it was. I agree. Yeah. Got a couple teacups from Gramps. She didn't care. She didn't miss them.
Yeah, there was always clothes at the end of each season. They have a collection of clothes that just go back, and sometimes at the end of that season, as they empty their truck, costume department would ask if we want anything from.
The oversized jacket.
So I got a jacket, and I got my leather pants, and Eva Leo, and
I have Coyote Piper pants somewhere. Say that 3 times fast.
Do you have your Saving Private Leo uniform?
no.
You should have taken that.
It's your favorite episode. Why wouldn't you have taken that?
Serve in the military. I'm not gonna.
But you took the leather pants.
That's right.
That was for overtime. And with that,
You never know when you're gonna bust those out.
Never